Okay, got home today and our torque converter had come in. So I think what we need to do to start off is I'm going to loosely bolt this up to our mock-up engine and hope we don't have any issues with the chain running from the torque converter to the rear axle. If we do, that means that we got to come up with some sort of jack shaft solution. So let's see what we got. Oh man, this build is just fighting me all the way. Got our mock-up motor in place and the torque converter bolted onto the side of the motor. I don't know if you can see from here, but it appears that I welded in the motor plate the wrong way. The slots are offset to one side. Yeah, so well, let me give you a closer look. The motor mount slots are actually offset. So what I should have done is this side should be over there. That would have pushed the motor over enough that the torque converter would have cleared. So the only way to fix that without cutting the motor mount plate out and re-welding it is to lift the motor, which doesn't really cause any problems there. I'll have to measure and see how high we need to go to clear the torque converter, but as you can see, we're good there. However, just by eyeballing, go from the sprocket there straight back, and you can see it's not going to work. I'm gonna have to figure that out and get the parts ordered.
Several days later.
All of our parts came in that we're waiting for. Our kickstand kit came in. Spring seats for our solo seat came in. Our new rear tire came in. Our jack shaft kit came in. And the front inner tube for the front tire also came in. I went ahead and replaced that off camera. Holds air now. I also went ahead and picked up a new non-Hemi Predator 212, fresh out of the box, and I loosely bolted our torque converter to that. I need to get the real hardware for it. And I also figured out that we need to raise the motor up 1 inch above the motor plate to have the torque converter clear the frame, because I put the motor plate in incorrectly. So make sure you pay attention when you go to weld your motor plate in and make sure it's in the right orientation. What I'm going to do now is take off the old dry rotted and leaking air back tire, and I think I might go ahead and kind of prep the wheel while I've got it bare, and then when I throw the new rear tire on it, get it all nice and mounted, I'll go ahead and paint it. Actually had the seat come in too, and I ordered the seat with the springs and the hinge, and I also ordered these mounts for the springs. They're coped. They go on 1 inch tube, and then it pins the springs down. These are the springs and hardware in that baggie, and the seat hinge. Kind of set it up on the bike to figure out where I was going to mount it, but didn't really care for it, at least with the hinge and coil springs. Kind of want it more minimal looking, and I would have to add an additional bar for the springs to sit on, and it would bring it too far back towards the tire. So we're going to rigid mount this seat. To do that, took a piece of flat stock, bent it in my vise to match the contour of the bottom of the seat, punched the 2 holes in it to bolt the seat to, and added this gusset. As you can see, it's fully welded. So now what I want to do is show you the seat. This is the seat. Nice padded solo seat, black fake leather, I'm guessing. So because we're not going to run the coil springs, these studs that are in the back that would normally bolt to the coil springs, I'm either going to find a way to cover those up or cut them down and then cover them up. I'm thinking I can cut them down a little bit and put like a castle nut on, or a acorn nut on there, kind of clean it up a little bit. But now what I want to do is drop it on the bike and see how it looks. I think that's going to work. It's down off the backbone a little bit, so we still get that kind of drop seat frame look. Looks nice and straight. It's not going to be a problem with the tire, and it's got a nice high back on it so that you're not going to just pin the throttle and fly off this thing and end up putting your butt down on that tire. So that's going to be good. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Let's move forward with getting the rear axle reassembled and our jack shaft in place and our motor and torque converter all bolted together. The joys of building your own bike from scratch. It's nearly impossible to think of every situation. And yeah, well, we've got the seat in place, got that bolted down, but there's an issue. You see this? That's the muffler, the factory muffler. Let me show you where it points. I was trying to avoid having to build a custom exhaust or put a pod filter or anything on this motor. I wanted it to be as factory as possible. But, yeah, that's going to blow a lot of exhaust right at your lower section, right next to that seat. So we're going to have to come up with something else.
Aside from my soul, there goes a sight, there goes a sight. Now there goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight, there goes a sight. There goes a sight from my soul. There goes a sight, there goes a soul. From my soul.
Well, I think that's going to be it for this episode. Got a few more things to do. Gonna mock up that rear fender. That rear fender plays two major roles. One, the obvious, it keeps stuff from coming up and hitting the rider and everything. And two, yeah, you'll have to wait and see for the final reveal to see what the other reason for the fender is. Seat's done. Need to add the kickstand to it, although I really don't think this bike's going to need a kickstand because of that big rear tire. Front and rear wheels are painted. New tube up front, new tire in the rear. I've got to cut our axle and our jack shaft. I've got to get a muffler for that pipe I made. String the chain up, and I had the owner come over and take a look and sit on it and see where her hands would kind of comfortably go and where we could put some foot pegs. So I've got some direction there. So I need to order those parts. But it's getting real close, really close. So get those parts on order and get this done. All the fab work done in the next one, I hope, and maybe working on paint. So that's it for this one. Until next time, guys, get up, get out there and do it.